Hi, everyone. Welcome to part two of uh, interviews with Justin Lall.
Hey
Uh,
everyone, hi Chaba. Sorry about flaking on you yesterday. I'm not so good with the time zones.
yeah, it's complicated. It's always you have to say like what 27 hours from now, and like yeah, it's
Yeah,
doesn't matter. So since we last talked, that was about a month ago, I think.
yeah.
You had the U.S. trials, and you got to the final, but didn't win. Um,
Unfortunately, no.
No, and but you've actually been playing a lot even after that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I played 3 straight weeks after that, and I'm playing the next 3 weeks. So
wow,
it was
it's
it was a very rough experience playing after losing in the final of the trials. That the next week didn't go very well for me.
yeah, I can imagine that. So do you want to talk a bit about the trials because I mean you did quite well until the final and then something like they do you think they were just unstoppable? Sometimes they say like oh they're in the zone and you can't do anything about it or
Well, they definitely played better than us, but I mean, what I remember most about the finals was with 30 boards to go, so with 2 segments to go,
right
we were about tied. I think we were up
yeah
three or down three or something. And in the seventh segment, they were unstoppable. Like we lost like 50-0,
yeah
and some of the hands, like one of the hands I opened and they overcalled. I opened a heart. I had 5 spades, 6 hearts, 2 diamonds, and no clubs. And they overcalled 3 clubs intermediate.
right
And now my partner passed, and my right hand opponent bid 3 no trump. And from there we had to get to 6 spades.
oh wow
which so partially it was their system intermediate, and the 3 no bid also didn't help us. But at the other table it went 1 heart and they overcalled 2 clubs, and now your partner has king jack fifth of spades and a queen, so they made a negative double, and
Oh,
my hand just drove to slam.
yeah,
So I'm not saying it was unlucky. I'm saying their system and
yeah,
their style worked very well. And like those imps were unavoidable to lose based on what they did.
right, right,
And I didn't bid a close game. So just stuff was happening.
yeah.
I overcalled on a hand that I would always overcall on, and they didn't at the other table, and you just go for 800.
Oh, I
But
saw that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I
I mean
think
that's just a hand I would
yeah,
always overcall on, whether it's right or wrong. That's how I play. I
yeah,
don't
yeah. I
mind
know.
count with 5 spades over 1 heart. So
Yeah, actually, it was for me. It was like I wanted to watch the final. I watched many of the segments. I thought, oh, it's gonna be so close, but then you know everything about the time zone. So it was like
right.
I think it was like 2:30 a.m. when the last one started or something like I don't know, but yeah, in the morning it was just yeah. So they won by 70 imps. Is that
Right. They picked up, I think, 50 in the third set, and we didn't. I mean, in the third set of the second day, and we didn't score on them. And then, from there, the last set is kind of swinging is happening, and it's not. Everything is kind of different, and they also played basically perfectly in that set.
word?
So basically, coming down to the wire, they were perfect,
Yeah.
and they definitely deserved to win. And I
Mhm.
don't even think we were that bad at the end, but they crushed us. So credit to them.
Yeah. Yeah. They say like this in sports. How do you call it? Clutch or what? Clutch.
Clutch,
Yeah. So
yeah.
they're. Do you think that's a real thing, or because they actually have a like a debate on this that not even in like basketball and it's kind of
I
like
think
this telling a
I think
story.
clutch is the absence of choking. Like choking
Oh,
is a real concept.
yes, yes, yes.
So the most clutch player is Michael Jordan. He played roughly the same in big moments that he did all the time. To me,
Oh,
that's what clutch is. So to not choke under the pressure and to be able to play your best is clutch. But I don't think it's a real concept that you somehow play better. Because
hmm
if you could do that, then why wouldn't you play better earlier? You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
But it is hard, when the pressure is on, to always play your best
yeah.
and maintain your composure, and that is clutch.
Yeah, like take that free throw or the penalty in soccer or
Right.
yeah, whatever the double squeeze in bridge. Like
Yeah.
yes, it's the same. Yes, and also I saw like in the semifinals you had kind of a big lead going into the last segment, but it went down kind of to the last board, or
I mean, at my table, I said to them, "You ran out of boards." That's I said to my opponents, Pepsi and Kevin Dwyer, because they had all the momentum
mm.
and things were going their way, and I'm like, man, you guys just ran out of boards. If they had five more boards, the way things were going,
So
yeah,
you
we lost like 40 imps there, and they started swinging a little at the end, and they were landing some punches, like
uh
major punches.
so it was obvious from your side that that it's gonna like, or you thought that it's probably still enough to get to
Yeah,
the final.
I thought they landed some punches, but it wasn't enough.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. And you won by like 7 or 8 teams, or something like that in the end, or
I thought it was 14. I don't know.
oh, okay,
Sometimes the
maybe I
official
should.
score at the end is wrong because if you lose, you don't care to go correct the score.
Oh yeah,
Like
fair enough.
or and if you win, you don't care to go correct the score. So sometimes they have a random score that's
Oh,
not
okay, yeah,
exactly correct. But I'm not sure. It might be have been eight. If I think it was 14, but
yeah.
whatever.
So so actually, this fireman squad is more or less all of them were on your junior team. In you won what 2005 and 2006, if I like, or
I
something
don't
like
know the
that.
years, but yeah,
Yes.
something in Australia. The first one we had, yeah, Johnny and Joel and Joe Grew and John Kraniak, and I played with Ari Greenberg. And the second one, Joel and Johnny were now too old, so we had Kraniak and Grew, and Josh Don and Jason Feldman. But also Gavin was playing juniors at that time for Canada with
Oh, right,
Vince.
right.
So yes, Gavin and Vince, they weren't on my team, but they were on the Canadian team in the
Yes.
same years. Uh,
So
yeah,
do you think this means that like Bridge is getting like a new I don't know, like a new wave of these young guys, like or
I mean, it's kind of been happening already. I mean,
right, of course. I mean,
my team
your
that
team
won
when you
in
won, yeah.
2011 was quite young and a similar team, and then the team that won four-handed 2 years ago, Kevin Bathurst,
Yeah.
Kevin Dwyer, and John and Gavin. So I don't really think it's a new thing. I think that we've been doing pretty well for a while. Our group of,
No, I mean
but
not. Yes.
but I'm kind of younger than those guys too. Like Johnny and Joel are in their mid to late 30s now. So, but yeah, I mean that's just the nature of the game. People, it gets younger, and the young people enter their primes. Like Greco and Hampson are in their prime now, but 10 years ago they were young guys who were doing really well.
Right.
And the older people get older, and then there's a new wave of people. Even now Kevin Dwyer and there will be Adam Kaplan. Like there's just going to be new young players who are coming up all the time. That's just life, and
Yeah.
same is true in bridge.
And like you we were talking about this at some point, like you're like this is also like easier to get good in bridge nowadays because you have online games like in poker, or of course it's
Uh,
not quite as big as online poker, but
it's especially true for people from different countries
right,
that historically weren't good at bridge. Like, Italy and England and, USA were always kind of powerful in bridge. But now I think people from any country can, get good at bridge. Like Ben and Paca, the best, two of the best young South American guys, they talked a lot on BBO with people who they wouldn't have been able to talk to otherwise, and I think that improved their knowledge because in Chile, the country they were from, they were already some of the best
right.
players when they were very young. So to reach a higher level, obviously being able to talk to better players from different countries helped them.
And do you think it will also like slowly all these like regional differences between bidding styles and systems, do you think that will slowly equalize or disappear? uh,
It'll become less. I don't think it'll ever go away.
mhm.
I mean, certainly at the top levels, it's already becoming less and less, but it's still there. But at the average club, England's gonna have ACOL, and we're gonna have
Yeah,
Standard
yeah, yeah,
American, and Polish club is gonna be in.
yeah. Yeah, it's actually funny with ACOL that like in the Netherlands they call it ACOL, but it's a 5 card major, strong no trump. But it's like I don't know.
So it's a different ACOL.
Yeah, it's completely different, and also like it's basically standard American, but they just call it as
That's funny.
yeah, I don't know, but anyway, like yeah, it's also a question of what the coaches prefer to teach. Like they have all these materials, I think, uh, but yeah, I guess it will go away. I don't know, but so about I wanted to ask you about this thing. Like obviously, good players like to talk about bridge with each other, and they're getting better somehow like this. And what do you think? Do you think it's like a net benefit for you? Like, suppose you come up with this great bidding idea. Do you think it's a net benefit for you to share it with as many people as possible in the hope to get something back? Or do you think it's like you kind of want to keep some of your ideas secret? Or
I've always been a big believer in free information flow, whether it be poker or bridge. Like, eventually it's going to come out, and it's better to talk about your ideas with good players and have them, troubleshoot them or find bugs and holes
mm-hmm.
in them, and start playing them. You're not going to keep any. There's nothing. You don't have some great idea that you need to keep a secret that's going to give you some huge edge. That just doesn't exist.
Right?
It's more likely that you have lots of ideas floating around and you need to talk about them with people, and yeah, maybe they'll learn your ideas also. Well, it's funny because the match that we played, like,
Yeah.
in the trials, it was all, it's the people that I talk bridge with basically,
Yeah.
and lots of people have commented like, "Wow, you guys open like every 10 count first seat white," and I'm like, "Yeah, dude, like that's what we do." And but it's gonna be funny to see the write up because we were every pair was opening so light. Like
Oh,
all of our team was three precision pairs and they were opening extremely light, and then Gavin and Vince, I mean, sorry, Cran and Vince are, they were insane also, and even Paul and Gavin were opening like every 11, and Johnny and Joel opened a lot of tens. So it was quite funny to see people's reaction to this. Uh, but it's not like a new idea, but it's kind of something that we've thought. Obviously, we've talked about it with each other that we think this is the right thing to do. First seat white.
yeah. Like
Um,
yeah. I heard like if you send an email to Rosenberg, he's going to send you all of his system notes, like 200 pages or something.
really?
Like
Okay.
this is apparently what he believes in, that everybody should have access to all of the system because well, obviously they had some discussion also, like it's not really ethical. Like let's say they only explain the first bit of a complicated system, and actually it might help you to interfere if you know the follow-ups or something like that. Things like, but I guess it's a minor effect, but
Yeah, that's going a little too far. I mean, full disclosure complete full disclosure is not possible. Like,
right, right.
you can't sit down and explain your system. Like, what am I going to read his system notes, 200
Yeah,
pages, and learn his and what like he probably knows the weaknesses of his system and what
right.
he's vulnerable to. So if I ask him, is he required to tell me? Like, is that not full disclosure? But I mean, I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of spots where there's not true full disclosure. It's just because of practical reasons
Mhm,
more than
mhm.
anything.
But like this, like with this weaknesses of your system, it comes back to this idea. If you discuss your system with your opponents before,
Right.
then they will know like kind of how to exploit them. Maybe.
Yeah, and
I
that's fine.
wonder.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's no secret that against a strong club, if you ever call three spades, that messes with our auction. But the corollary is, if you're overcalling three spades a lot, we're just gonna go double all pass, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be
Yeah.
completely random. So, what is the equilibrium? But that's kind of what it's like playing strong club.
Right, right. So do you think so you're basically playing strong club exclusively, right? In a like a competitive bridge.
Yes, with
Is
most of my regular partners, I play strong club. Not
but
exclusively, but like 90% of my bridge is strong club.
so that is it? Do you think it's just like suits your temperament best, or is it also you think that it's theoretically the best?
I don't really think it matters. I think it's what suits your temperament and your style. And yeah, I like being limited and getting in there early and being able to jump because my partner's limited. I like all those things. So yeah, I think it suits the way I think about bridge, but I don't really think it matters whether you play strong club or natural. And other people have very strong views on that. Like Brad Moss and Joe Grew are playing two systems. I think
Oh.
based on vulnerability, they play either strong club or natural, and Brad and Joe are both huge believers in that right now,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because the weakness of strong club is if they're preempting you. So it makes some sense, but I really, from my experience, it doesn't matter too much. You should just
mm-hmm.
play something that suits your style.
Right, right. No, yeah, obviously it's not, there wouldn't be like a kind of a popular system that loses like an imp board, or like it
Right.
would just like, yeah.
I
You,
do think if you play natural, it is insane not to play transfers over one club. That to
oh yeah,
me
yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah.
and that's where the natural bidders are going right now. The one club on all balanced hands, so they can open one club a lot and then transfer. I mean that's like European standard right now or whatever.
And you also like to respond very light, right? That's one of the things that
When
you.
I'm not vulnerable, I basically always respond.
Okay, okay,
When
yeah.
I'm vulnerable, I used to be pretty. I don't think it's right now when you're vulnerable to respond that late.
Mhm, mhm, yeah.
You got to respect the vulnerability. That's also another area where bidding is going. Like, Madal or Boki and Madal are playing the Big Bang, and Brad and Joe are playing two different systems. I mean, when you're not vulnerable versus when you're vulnerable, it's completely different. Like, you got to respect that. You don't. It's not right to be stealing when you're vulnerable, but when you're white red, you should always be stealing.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
even opening like a point lighter first seat white red it makes a lot of sense to me, and especially in precision, because then your partner can also steal because you're limited. It all kind of works out well.
mhm, mhm.
But when you're vulnerable, you're not really trying to steal.
And I guess you also like like how much do you think you should take into account vulnerability also in preamps? Like obviously it's not irrelevant, but like I think some
I think
people
a ton.
have done.
Like first seat white red, psycho preamps.
Yeah.
Second seat red white. I'm one of the soundest. They're making fun of me for opening two hearts with like ace queen 10 9 seventh or something, but it's like
So, but
whatever.
this is also like kind of a style question, I guess. Like also some of the top players don't take it that much into account, or like obviously
Yeah,
they're not going to like ignore it, but
I think that's a big mistake not to, personally.
oh, okay, okay. But also like then you have to take that into account. Like oh, this guy opened two hearts, maybe, and then I
Right.
pass out the double or whatever. Or
Right. Yeah. Well, that's true. And again, like my opponents know like if they ask what is your style, my partner tells them. And with Roger Lee, I was even playing two different systems like non-forcing new suits if
oh,
we're first seat white and 5 card Ogus. You can show a 5 card preamp, but Vol I don't need that because I don't have a 5 card suit.
and is it actually a challenge for you? Like do you play like between your regular partners? Like do you have a problem compartmentalizing the different systems that you have to play? Or
Sometimes, I mean, I just played a tournament where I played with 3 different partners, but
oh,
I'm kind of used to it now. But it is hard sometimes, especially when you're like playing 14-30 with one and 0-3-1
oh.
0-3. That one is super hard for me. I'm just like always worried I'm gonna mess up my key card response.
Okay. But so you tried convincing them to play the same, and they didn't want to, or obviously they also want to convince you to.
Yeah, I'll go with them if they have a strong opinion, but
All right, right, right. But yeah, and these 3 weeks that you've played, and the following 3 weeks, were you playing with Kevin, or with a client, or
I played two with Kevin, and then I played with Brad Moss and Joel Woldridge and Valerie Westheimer last week. We were five-handed, and we were kind of rotating
oh,
partners. Actually, I really enjoy. I love playing with Brad, but I had never really played with Joel much, and so this was the first time I got to play a lot of boards with him, and that
oh.
was an interesting experience. He's very very fun to play with.
And you mentioned, yes, like just like kind of a different question. You mentioned last time you're also playing poker, and do you do that regularly? And do you think it has an impact on your bridge, or bridge has an impact on your poker, or
I used to play like I lived in I played online
Hmm.
for many years, and then we weren't allowed to play online, so I lived in Vegas for a few years to play live poker. Now I rarely play because Dallas. You can, I mean, you can drive to Oklahoma, but it's not legal. There are no casinos here,
Hmm.
and so you can play in underground games, but I don't really want to deal with that.
I can
Um,
imagine.
so yeah, I don't, but if I'm in Vegas or if I'm somewhere, I'll definitely go and play some poker. But I do not do it regularly anymore.
Hmm.
If online poker were to ever come back here, I would definitely be doing it.
Hmm.
I would say that, yeah, it definitely has impacted the way I play bridge, at least when I'm at the table. Uh, just thinking like of more of the game theory stuff, like randomizing spot cards and, you know, some of the flaws I had, like I was false carding too much in certain situations. That's kind of how you think of poker. Like you need to bluff a certain amount and you need
Yeah.
to have a good hand a certain amount. So effectively, I was bluffing sometimes too often in my false carding. That was one big area. But
Hmm.
yeah, just the psychology, variance, understanding,
Hmm.
emotional control, all of that stuff is very important in both bridge and poker.
Oh,
I
like
think the
for
technical aspects of the game are not very similar, but the psychology of that is very important.
yeah, but I mean like high level bidding, like essentially like you're hoping that either they pass it out when it's wrong, or they overbid when that's wrong, or that's.
So I in China I had it was pretty awesome. So I was in the final of the pairs, and like the top three got prize. It was a prize money tournament. So the top three, and it was an imp pairs thing, and it was barometer. So it was pretty random. And so I'm playing against Tom Hanlon, who's also a very good poker player and a bridge player, and someone who I talk bridge with a lot. And basically, like I'm white against red, and I like bid to five hearts or maybe five clubs. I don't remember the suit, but he jumped to six diamonds, red white, and so it's like a spot where I have to save because he knows that I know that it's cheap, but
Oh, okay.
I know that he's just jumping to to, to make me save. So I passed, even though like if they make this is a disaster. But I was like I said to Tom, I'm like I can't live with myself if I let you bluff me into saving, and then he says expletive. I knew it. And his partner had like the best hand ever, and they were on a hook, and the hook was on. So Tom ended up like being second and getting some pretty good like $10,000, and we were nowhere. But in my mind, I won that poker game. I knew what he was trying to do,
Oh, yeah,
and
nice.
his partner ended up having the best hand, so they were on a hook, and the hook was on. Yeah, so there is definitely in the high level bidding stuff, especially with against him, where he's also a poker player, and I have a ton of history with him. That stuff definitely comes into play, but not that often.
Like also, there was a hand in the trials where I think like fireman bid to six clubs, and your teammates bid to six diamonds over it.
Right.
They're white against red, and I mean this six club bid was kind of like really like it has no chance. It was like he overbid his hand already, and
Well, when you're red against white and they've already saved, it's very hard for them to not save again.
yes, yes,
I mean,
yes.
you see it all the time. I have another story like this. This was in the World Junior teams. Joe Grew like jumped to slam red white, and we were playing Poland. That was like our rivals back then.
Right.
And by the way, those are the really good Polish players now, like Kalida and Baras and
Hmm.
those guys who are now some of them are on the Polish Open team. Anyway, so Joe jumps to slam red white six hearts, and the opponents who had bid to four spades instantly pass it out on his right. So Joe has Queen Jack 10 fifth of trumps opposite ace fourth. So he judges that the only way the guy on his right instantly passed it out without even thinking of saving is that he had stiff king of
Oh.
trumps. So he tries to drop the stiff king of trumps, and righty had stiff small. So so Joe asked him like, how do you not like even think of saving? And he's like, well, the Polish guy is like, I think it was Kalita said, well, we have a team rule now. Against you, we never save when you jump to slam red white. Because I guess Joe is just known for doing that. So yeah, I mean, definitely bidding slam red white puts a ton of pressure on them to save when they've already shown a willingness to save at a lower level
Mhm.
because it's just cheap insurance.
Yes.
But but yeah, when your opponents know that you do that, that you're trying to force them to do it, apparently stuff like this happens. But yeah, the same thing happened with Fireman. Greco had ace queen jack fourth of diamond, and his partner had bid three diamonds, and he's
Yeah,
light
yeah, yeah,
row.
exactly.
So
Yeah, over
I mean,
two
he's
clubs
safe.
or something. Yeah.
I was watching on Viewgraph, and someone was like cheering when they bid to six clubs to me, and I'm like, dude, he's gonna save. Like, it's funny. People watching Viewgraph, they don't real when they see something happen like the six club bid, they're just like, yeah. They don't realize like the auction isn't over. Like Greco has a real problem here, and he's probably gonna get it wrong. There was another hand where Greco and Hampson got to 2-0 double. Did you see this hand?
Sorry,
This
two
was
no
an
Trump. Where?
2-0 Trump redoubled.
Oh, there was something with it, like the opening lead was
The
between.
opening lead was for making six or like down three redoubled, or he could play for making two. It's like but yeah, this was way more. I think our match was more of a poker match than you see at high level bridge very often.
Mhm, mhm. But I mean, it's like like people always say like, oh, that's poker, that's not bridge, like as if it's like a bad word. But actually, like poker has sound concepts. It's just often it will introduce more variants maybe, but
Right.
it's like or when you see two teams that are like maybe not a lot of imps change hands, and then people say, oh, that's a high level match, but
That's good bridge, right?
it could be just that they missed a lot of opportunities of
I mean, you're
creating
exactly
something.
right, Chaba. You're exactly right, and I think that's a newer way of thinking. Like, I didn't look at it, but I will guarantee you right now that the fireman team, whatever match they played in, that their match had the most imp swung,
Oh yeah,
every
I think
match,
yes.
because I will get because that's just how they play. Cran and Vince and Johnny and Joel and Gavin and Paul, all of them, they're out there trying to win imps. And yeah, if you can go 20-10 instead of 5-0, then 20-10 is better. It's
Yeah.
not worse bridge. It's but that's just how their style, and to a lesser extent that was our team style too. We're out there trying to win imps, and sometimes we lose imps. Like it doesn't make it bad bridge or good bridge. It just makes it different bridge.
Hmm. Hmm. Like
But the
especially.
response to this match has been pretty amazing because some people are saying, oh, that's not bridge, that's poker, and some people are saying, oh, that's such a fun, exciting way of playing. But it's just kind of how we play.
Mhm, mhm.
It's what we think is the right way to play.
And you also, I know that you're kind of a fan of chess, but do you ever play or
Uh,
just kind
I
of
play
watch?
some I play some drunk blitz, and that goes really badly for me. My standard rating on chess.com was like pretty decent, but I'm now scared to play. It's
Oh,
funny. I'm
okay.
like, because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna, because I haven't played in a while, and I
Yeah.
don't know, I like care about my rating because I was working really hard at it for like a few months, and I was doing tactics problems, in-game puzzles, all this stuff, and I got good, and then I came back after I had played a few months of bridge, and I came back and I like lost every game, and I'm like, oh
Oh.
no, my rating's going down, which is of course a stupid way of thinking about it. Like, who cares if your rating is 1500 or 1300 or 1700? Like, it doesn't matter. Just play the game.
Well, I
But
mean, it does matter. It's just that it's more like it's like this meta way of thinking that you shouldn't do it. Like if you're getting better, you're gonna see that it's going up. But
right,
if it's going down, it doesn't mean you have to stop to stay better. It just means like it has to readjust. But
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if it's preventing me from actually playing long chess games, then that's
yeah.
pretty silly of me. But yeah, but I actually I watch chess videos, and I like watching like reading chess report like, so I'm
Um,
more of a fan of of the game, but I haven't played very much. I'm
yeah.
scared to play now.
I mean, but I think there is also like kind of parallels between the two. Like I know when I stopped playing chess for a long time, and then when I started again and I played a few tournaments, I noticed that in bridge I would like play more carefully, like kind of duck a few tricks to like keep the tension, as they say in chess.
Right.
Like that
Well,
kind of
chess is a more
attitude.
concrete game and a more technical game. Yeah, I definitely think that helps you in bridge, for sure.
Yeah.
Just the whole calculating, you know, the play of the hand, and like if you can calculate chess moves, it's pretty easy to see a little bit ahead in bridge and see what the problems are,
Oh yeah.
and that's how your chess brain thinks. Like, what are the problems in this line? Same in bridge, so.
Yeah, that's like well, for me it's like it happens every, let's say, every 100 hands in bridge that I can really like, okay, now I see everybody's hands and now I can make a plan like, okay, I'm gonna do this and then he's gonna reply that and then like this. And I guess for you it's not 1 in 100 but much more often like
Well, if you struggle with that part of the game, you should do double dummy problems. Like,
oh
because I
yes.
mean, card play is part one is figuring out what they have, and that's more subjective. And part two is if once you know what they have, what to do. And part two should be simple. And if it's not, you just need to drill yourself with double dummy problems. That's the
Yeah.
best way to get
No,
better
like
at
for
it.
me it's especially part one that like
Yeah, well, that's what the game is really about.
yes, like
Part one.
figuring out the yes. I mean, obviously, in many cases, once you figured out what they have, it's actually quite easy to do it. But in many cases, it still requires a bit of
Yes.
yes. But like I think you're kind of famous for solving these problems very quickly. Like at least on the forums, you used to like they would debate what to do and then you would just come and reply of course I'm not sure how much time you spend but
Very
judging
little.
from view graph you're quite a fast player.
I'm definitely known for being a fast player. Sometimes, I mean, to my detriment. I
But you
mean, 99% of the hands I can do very quickly, but if at the table I mess up 1% because I'm playing fast, I should be slower on all hand.
but how did, so do you think it just came from for you like as a result of playing a lot of hands or is it was it also like a lot of study or you,
Um, I think part of it is how your brain naturally works because I know like Eric Rodwell, like he's slow, like he's obviously a better player than me, but he's slower, and it seems like he has to think harder, like than Mech. Mech is kind of, it just all seems to come effortlessly to Mech.
Mhm,
So part of it is just how your brain is wired, like if you're studious or if you're just naturally fast or you see things quickly. But a lot of it is just experience and study. I used to really study a lot of
mhm,
bridge positions and talk with my dad about card combinations and how to think and blah blah blah. So I think it's a combination of everything. I don't know. I can't tell you exactly why I play fast or it comes to me quickly, but
mhm.
it does.
It's like a lot of it is like pattern recognition, right? That you
Yes.
can yes. It's like uh, but what's really cool is the Rodwell files that book like it's really cool because it gives a name for every play. Like then do you actually use those names yourself or
No, but I mean, they are all plays that they needed a name. Like a lot of people knew these plays. Like they weren't
yeah
the concept of the play wasn't new to a lot of us, but having a name, having a I think the one that has stuck is intra pop because like when they're gonna do an intra finesse and you
yeah
pop
oh yeah
because
yeah
I've
yeah
seen
yeah
that, but I've definitely used that many times. It's like pop with the 10.
yeah, it's like a well, yeah. I guess if somebody really studies that book, they're gonna get a lot better. But I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I read through it a few times, but it's like also, of course, getting to apply it is a different
Yeah,
quite.
I think those are even less important. I mean, for the average player, that book is will be too advanced. Like,
I mean, one thing I saw that it's a lot of that. Actually, it seems that like a lot of those hands are actually quite realistic, although like kind of messy. Like in the books when you see like in just like a random bridge book, you're gonna see this very neat hand in which you see like clearly the theme and they just get the hands from real play and often it's a question of well look this defender he had a real problem. I mean he just didn't know what to do and that's
right. More books should be that way. I agree. I don't like the artificial, I mean, we call them textbook hands.
yeah yeah
Like,
yeah
oh, this is a textbook.
Yes.
compound squeeze.
But I mean, obviously, but of course, sometimes those textbook terms actually do come up, and like, oh,
Yeah,
that's easy. I don't know, some
that's true.
simple thing like I don't know, queen third, opposite jack third, and you just throw someone in, and they have to start it or whatever, like things
Right,
that you immediately see. I mean, even I immediately see it now. So.
right.
But yeah, and but do you try to keep up with the literature, or like this was what I was asking you before we got cut off last time about this opening leads book? Like, do you try to
Uh, I
read?
I keep up with it, but I mean, most of the books nowadays aren't that. I read the Bridge World, for instance. Like I think that's more use or internet forums, bridge
Right.
based forums or bridge winner. I think those are more important resources than books right now. But yeah,
Mm-hmm,
definitely the opening lead book has been and the Rodwell file. Those have been the most interesting new developments in terms of literature,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But
bridge
it's like
literature.
something like, for example, this Rodwell book, I guess, like basically you knew all of those plays, or like most of them at least. Like, it's more useful for people who've maybe never thought of hands like that, or
But still, even if you have all these ideas that you know about, to see them concretely written
oh,
down and you can just look at them, it's like, okay, yes, now I will remember these. I know them well.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
But yeah, I mean, it's always useful to see new things like that haven't been written,
mhm,
even if you know them. Like,
yes, but like so not normally so there's like two aspects of the game, right? Like one is how many techniques you know, and the second is like not to lose concentration, or like and
your theoretical knowledge and your execution of that theoretical
yeah,
knowledge, basically.
exactly, yes, or like, yeah, like some people like yeah, I don't know, like I played once, and I still remember this because I couldn't understand it. Like he led like ace from ace king fourth, and dummy had queen doubleton, and I encouraged, right, in 3 no trump.
Right.
And then he went into a deep tank, counted declarer's tricks like 3 or 4 times, and he was looking for I don't know what kind of weird construction, and in the end he played something else. And yeah, I mean, surprise! In the end, they made 9 tricks, and he miscounted some point. I don't know what, and it was just like you're trying to apply this very deep knowledge that you have about all this. I'm gonna be squeezed in clubs and hearts if I catch the king, or I don't know, like,
Yeah,
and in the end, it's just like I guess that you have these like mad scientist type people who are trying to.
definitely. I mean, sometimes the game is just as simple. Like most of the time, I let an ace king, my partner encouraged. I hope they have jack fifth.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
five.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that was,
you
yeah.
have to know what is the important moment to there was a bull's tip about the kill point in the hand. Like stop and think at this point. Recognizing that is something that I think expert players can do more easily. Uh, I don't know how, but you just kind of get a feeling. Okay, well, this is the key moment in the hand.
And so,
Like, let's think about everything.
and sometimes you do it like you know that it's the opening lead itself that is the kill point, right? Like
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, let's say you have 17 high cards and you're defending 3-0.
yeah.
Like, you can construct a lot of, like, you probably know a lot about the hand.
Hmm.
Certainly against a slam, the lead is usually the kill point. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
anytime you're on lead against a slam, you should be thinking.
Hmm. Hmm. And do you have some some tips on how to keep focus during the game, or do you or how I mean, is it something that also you just learn from experience, or
Uh, Playing a lot is that, I mean, from what I've seen, it's not the most healthy people. It's not the people who get the best sleep. It's not the people who are eating fruit or working out. It's a lot of the top pros are like fat slobs who are, and they're the most well conditioned, even they even smoke, which no one doesn't do that. but
Stay in
but
school, kids. Stay in
the
school.
people who are the most well conditioned at bridge are undoubtedly the people who play all the most. They
Hmm.
play all the time. I'm not gonna name names now that I described them like that, but uh, yeah. So I mean, to maintain focus, play a lot.
Hmm.
And I understand if you're not a bridge pro, you can't play all the time in real
Yeah.
life. But I think playing, at least leading up to the tournament, playing on BBO and
Hmm.
and actually treating it like real. Don't treat it like you're just messing around. Treat it like real bridge,
Hmm.
and focus, and just play 30 hands a day on
Hmm.
BBO with your actual level of focus that you'd have in real life. That's the important part because we all do it on BBO. We're just messing around, throwing
Yeah.
cards, playing 2 minutes aboard. But I think that to prepare for a bridge tournament to stay focused, you need to at least leading up to it play a lot and actually focus
Hmm.
hard and intently.
But there's like a line between this like playing an autopilot and playing like kind of consciously. But I guess also like the autopilot itself is not is sometimes useful, right? Like sometimes you have this defensive problem and you just like, well, I just don't know enough about the hand yet, so I'm just going to like the club is kind of what you have to play from here, or
Yeah, I mean, well, process of elimination, like I must play this. Yeah, I mean that's often how you just know that every other play is bad, so you play like who cares about counting? Like I mean, but
yes, but yeah, I mean that would be like a strong case, but just like let's say trick two, you don't really know so much about the hand yet, or
no, then I disagree. I think you should be thinking there. You should be
no,
trying
no,
to
I
look
guess
for
yeah, of course,
whatever
of course.
edge you can sometimes it's probabilistic. It's just like this will work 70% of the time instead of 50%, but that's still enough.
Yeah, I mean
There I
that's what
think
I was talking. Yeah, like so this it's more like a probability thing. Like
yes.
it's yeah.
That
But I guess like do you ever go on just like autopilot, like you don't even notice for like a few hands, or is that like something you?
I do, but it's because I play too much. Like I said, I'm gonna end up being gone for 7 or 8 weeks in a row. I
Hmm.
mean, there's no way I could give 100% on every board for 8 weeks in a row. But for people who don't play that much, I don't. You should. It's a bad habit, and your autopilot probably isn't that good.
No.
Like not you, but whoever the listener is. I
Yes.
think being
Yes.
lazy is a bad thing at bridge. Like if you should try and give 100% on every hand.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, Another way of maintaining focus, I think, is don't watch when your partner is declaring. That's a
Oh.
big because that's and don't talk too much. Don't go too in depth about the hands at dinner. I mean that goes both ways because if you're long term improvement, you want to be talking about all the hands after you play them. But if it's a very serious tournament for you
Hmm.
and your main goal is just to win that tournament, I would say go easy on the bridge talk.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
of course, long term, you want to be talking about the hands. So it depends on what your goals are.
And this is do you have like this kind of debriefing after a big tournament, like the trials? Did you kind of try to go through the hands with kind of a cool head? Obviously, you didn't have a lot of time, but
Yeah, I mean, I played the next 2 weeks with Kevin.
yeah.
Uh, we didn't really talk about many. I mean, we were going over as the hands during the tournament where again, I said this last time, but if you have a bidding misunderstanding or if you have a defensive accident, you must go over those like that's very important.
Hmm.
And we were going over system all the time. Um, yeah, I don't think at the end of we were sad. I don't think we we really wanted to talk about the hands at the
Yeah,
end.
I can imagine. Yes.
But we did get some analysis from Eric Kokish about every single board, which I
Oh,
still haven't read because I've been gone. But I would love to read that, and it'll be good that it's been a few weeks, so I won't be so emotional
but
reading about the hands.
every single hand,
Yeah, I think
really?
so. I think it was every single hand.
Wow.
So
I remember you did one of these analysis once on the forums, which I thank you. I was one of the guys who got it. It was kind of like
Yeah, I
five
ended up
years ago.
not doing all the people. It was very hard, actually. It was a
Um,
lot. It was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. It was like the concept for those who don't know was, I'll you play some number of hands and I go over every card that you
yeah.
play and give my analysis, which is a good idea, but it was a lot of work,
Mm.
and I ended up not finishing. So
Oh, okay. Uh,
I have an issue with following through, apparently. Sorry about that.
yeah, I didn't know you didn't finish, so sorry. Sorry for
No,
like.
I mean, I mean, it wasn't. Well, I don't think I committed to do it with any specific person and I didn't finish with them. I think it was just I committed to do a certain number of people, and I did not do that many people.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So
Yeah, but this is I guess one of the very good ways of doing it if you can afford it to get somebody to pay them some amount and they can go through actually the hands that you actually played,
yeah, absolutely.
not like get a board from the Bermuda ball that I mean I don't care about it at all and I'm just gonna say yeah I'm just gonna play Ace King of Spades and of course like solving problems is a good idea but when they actually look at what you did then you can think well what did I think about when I did this or
Exactly. What was the error in my thought process? Because you actually know what your thought process was at the time.
yes if or lack thereof right or
Yeah.
yeah but yeah this is definitely one of the problems with non Bermuda ball players not thinking like lack of thought this is the but yeah
Or incomplete thought. Like I watch your videos and Kachung's, and
yeah
sometimes you guys just you have some thoughts, but you don't go all the way with it.
yeah
It's just
yeah
like at some point you're just like, whatever, I'm gonna play now.
yeah
It's like you've thought a certain amount, and you're like, okay, and it's clear if you guys had gone a little further, when you if you make a mistake, that you would have gotten there, but
yeah
you just like kind of got to whatever.
yeah
It's like, well, there's this, but there's this, so I'll play this. Like
yeah it's like
that's you a lot. You like think about one thing a lot, and you're like, oh no, 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 and then you play something else. It's like, well, you were right about the no, no, no,
yeah
but you then didn't think about like why are you playing this other card?
yeah
It's like the third option was the play.
yeah that's actually that's a concept that they talk about in chess like that you're considering a play for like 10 minutes and you say like in the end you say no 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 that's not the right move and then you say you see this other move it's like oh yeah that looks right and then you play it in like 5 seconds
Yeah, exactly.
that's some Kotov, I don't know if you know this guy is writing about thinking in chess, and this was one of these typical errors he was talking about. And yeah, it's also I sometimes think like, yeah, you know what? There's gonna be next board. It's gonna be easier. Like I can make up for this board. It's bad. Like I even had that sometimes in chess. Like oh this is 9 rounds. It doesn't matter if I lose this game. Like
Right,
that's not like especially in chess it hurts if you make a mistake. The game is maybe 4 hours long and.
right.
But yeah, I mean, also I know that actually people say this that they prefer bridge because you can make up for your mistake immediately 5 minutes later. But it's also a bit okay. I mean, you have 24 boards, but if you're gonna make six big mistakes, it doesn't matter. Like
Right. But I can relate to that because that's like I said, I'm even scared to play chestnut because it's such it's like that guy was smarter than me, that guy outwitted me, and what can I do now? There's nothing I can do.
yeah,
I
yeah,
lost.
yeah,
At
yeah.
least in bridge, there's some recourse. But yeah, it's not a good way to the biggest part about being good at bridge is being is good work ethic and good
Mhm.
focus and discipline. Like not discipline in the sense of don't preempt crazy, but preempt according to your style, blah blah blah. But also mental discipline, like okay, I'm going to sit here and work out this hand
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
and
not
not
gonna
be
play a
lazy.
card until yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think you also talked about this at one point that you make these plays that you like just the second the card hits the board, you know that it was wrong or
Well, and to me, that's the worst sin in bridge. Like I wrote about that in my blog once. I said I do not ever want to make a mistake where I bid something or I play a card and then I immediately know why it was wrong because why didn't I spend 5 extra seconds? Like I want to be like a really good bridge player. You can't do that. Like I want to, at least if I make a mistake, I'm not sure if it's a mistake or I don't know why it's a mistake, or I at least thought everything through and I made my decision. Maybe it was the wrong decision, but I thought about everything. I do not I think it is a criminal to play a card and then know immediately why it was a bad play. That should, as a professional. I'm not saying that for everyone else, but for me that's just criminal. Like I cannot forgive myself if I do that.
But I guess some of the time when people feel like that, it's just like this buyer's remorse. That it's just like they had two alternatives, they chose one, and then they just thought, oh, maybe the other one.
No,
But
I'm not. Same with poker. Like, I'm used to just you make a decision and like if something happened that was unexpected, like then I'm like, oh, maybe I didn't think about something.
mhm,
Like if something expected, like if I'm trying to take a two-way hook and I misguess, well, okay, whatever. I mean, I probably thought about everything and I guess wrong. But if I make a play and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going down if they do this now immediately, then that was a very bad mistake
mhm,
because I could
mhm.
have thought about it for 5 seconds more and come up with the right solution.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was.
think it's buyer's remorse in that situation.
Yeah, no, for you, no, no, for sure. I mean, but I mean, obviously, the better you are as a bridge player, the more objective those people will be. I guess, like they're or the other way around. The more objective you
Yeah.
are about your own game, you're
Right. Who knows which one it is?
yeah, yes, but
But yeah, people are results. They're all about results. They're results oriented. So yeah, they make a play and then they think they made the wrong play. You see that all the time, just because it didn't work. Well, that is silly. You're not always going to make the right play.
I think you're talking about Bob Hammond, that he's like the most objective, like the least resulting player that you
And person,
mentor.
person, and yeah, human. He's the most objective human I've ever met. He thinks really, really well
So yeah,
and
it's
unbiasedly.
not it's not like a coincidence that he's also one of the best players
Probably
in
not a
history.
coincidence, no.
Yeah.
He didn't luck into that role.
No, like, but about this, it was also this famous Carlson blunder. You probably remember it from against
Hmm.
Anand. That he said
Yes.
that he actually just the moment he let go of the piece, he knew why it was wrong, and then you have to keep this poker face. I don't know. Do you think like do you think that it's important to have a poker face in bridge as well, or
Oh, definitely. I mean, you can give off tells. I mean, people do. They if if you're nervous, like if you're acting nervous. Well, this happened to me recently. I was in a grand on a like I had Queen Jack 10 sixth of hearts. I was at Ace fifth, and whatever. So I was thinking about what I was gonna do, and my right hand opponent asked a question about the auction, and he like didn't seem very perturbed. And he was an honest guy, so I didn't. So I was just like, well, he doesn't have the king. Like anyone with a stiff king of trumps would be a little more nervous.
yeah?
And in bridge is unlike poker. Like in poker, that guy might be bluffing. He might be
Mhm.
doing that, but
But you're not
because he's a
allowed to do
stiff
it.
king of trumps. But you're not allowed to. However, there are a lot of people where if they did that, I would think they had stiff king of trumps in bridge, even though you're not allowed to do it. Like most
Yeah,
experienced players, they're not gonna be. It's the other way. If they have a void in trump, they're not gonna be acting all like nonchalant. So they're probably just trying to mess you up, which is cheating, or which is not. Well, yeah, that's cheating. But anyway, but you can kind of use that. Like some people are just more likely to be cheating than not. But this was not a guy who was. It didn't matter. It was stiff king of hearts on side, but
oh,
it was
okay.
it was it was it was it was, it was just funny. Like I don't know. But yeah, you were asking if poker skills help me in bridge. I mean, yes, most of the time I play for people to be being shady. Like if they hesitate and then play a
Oh,
card, whatever, in a spot where like they wouldn't hesitate. Like if you're an experienced bridge player and you lead and they lead up to the king jack, you don't tank and play low. Like so people who do that, especially like older people who play at the
mhm.
club or who have played a long time at a lower level, they never have the ace. I mean,
I
Terrence Reese wrote about that in his book. Like that was the hand. You have king, queen, jack 10 up at ace fourth, and you lead the jack out of your hand. and see
Oh,
if they hesitate. And
oh,
then
you,
so then they didn't. So then he had a real two-way guess, and he let the jack, and then they did hesitate.
oh, I remember an old thread about this. You wrote like you had ace doubleton opposite king queen tight, and you played the like king queen tight was in your hand, so you played the queen, and your left hand opponent tanked and played low. So then later on you could use this.
It was later. It was later in the match. It wasn't later in Reese's hand. It was later in the hand. But yeah,
Oh,
later in the match, I was able to use that they were kind of shady. But yeah, especially in longer matches, you make plays like that early on to see if your opponents are shady or not.
oh wow. Okay, well,
Or I do.
this
I
is
don't know. And my default assumption is that my opponents are shady, unless I know that they're not.
wow. Yeah. So so from now on, everybody will have completely honest
That
hesitations.
that that would be a good way to bluff me. Yes, by being completely honest.
But I heard at some point, I think I heard from Roger Lee that when they tank and play low, they usually have ace queen.
Yes, that's a common one. Like because they're trying to let you know that they have the ace, so
Oh,
you'll play low to the king.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
That's like the long tank is ace queen. The like 2 second, no, not even two, like the 1.5 second hitch or fumble, I should say. That's the queen, and the quick low is the ace.
Yeah, and
just so
yeah, wow.
everyone knows.
Yeah, it's like you can write like you should write it on your convention card or but yeah, maybe write the opposite then, or I don't know whether. But wow, yeah,
Giving away all my secrets now.
yeah.
Now I'll have to adapt. Now I'll ask people, did you watch this video? Okay, I'm playing for you to be honest.
But this is maybe this is too technical a question. I was just like this is something I get into all the time, right? Nine cards missing the queen, you know, and like theory says you have to play ace king, but actually the the edge is not so big, right? I don't know, it's like 55
Very,
to
it's
60.
like 52-48 or something, right?
Yeah, and so how do you decide when you have like generally what I do if I say like if I have something that is actually tangible that says he is more likely to have the queen, like just it doesn't have to be like this like a 7-3 split or whatever, like anything tangible I'm gonna finance. But
So you're talking strictly rule of empty spaces consideration.
no,
I'm pretty
also
sure
something about the points or like if I
okay.
saw some points from I don't know like I cannot really express exactly. But how would you do this when you have
Well, that's bridge to me. That's like bridge. That's the bread and butter. I'm looking at the auction.
right, right,
I'm looking at what they shifted to the count. Uh, I do know that the math is like if you know one more card,
yeah,
then it's 50-50 now, like a
yeah,
5-4 split.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Two more
yeah,
cards, but um, see, actually, this is interesting because you were talking about knowing where the queen is, and I think that a lot of times, uh, good players but not great players, they think more about the high cards. And I think if you talk to like my first instinct was the shape. My first
yeah,
instinct is
yeah,
always what is the shape because that's way more. Even like if they've bid. Like if whether they have queen and one or stiff small is usually the same in the bidding for most people.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it,
yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't you can't unless they open one no trump or something. You can't really get a read on the points.
Yeah, like they overcall and it's not like they promise a 10 count. It's like
Exactly. If they
yeah, yeah,
overcall a queen and you'd rather have a stiff than a queen and one. Or for most, I mean, it doesn't matter. If you're right, if they open the bidding or if they bid no trump, but if they just overcall or make it take out double, you have no read on the points ever.
yeah.
So I'm always trying to my first instinct is always the shape. I
The
would
shape.
say that 99% of the time if I make a play for someone to have queen third or whatever, it's because I of what I think the shape is.
Mhm.
And I take into account, not just the bidding but the lead. Like people don't take into account the lead enough, I think.
Mhm.
And even, some circumstantial evidence like they gave count in the side suit. You might even play a side suit to see if they get, like, if your read is they give count, then you might even play a side suit.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Especially, like, let's say you had ace king doubleton opposite queen 10 fourth and dummy. If you bang down the king, you're 100% going to get on his count,
Uh-huh.
because
Uh-huh.
that's a spot where they have to give count. And
Right.
now maybe you make your play. So now maybe I might cash the king, get count, and have a little bit more information to work with.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, I'm pretty much always thinking about the shape.
Mhm.
For me to think about the queen, it never happens unless there's some completely obvious reason, like they would have responded, or they would have bid no trump, or they would have
Right.
opened.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes. That's yeah. This is often I think what I do, and other people also, like they just think about the suit and not think about, well, he actually has 13 cards. I mean, he had like
Right.
a hand next to that suit, not just the suit. So like also, and sometimes it's obvious from one hand that they would have bid differently, or maybe it's sometimes in the other hand that would have bid differently, and we
Right.
have a lot of this. Yeah, and I mean, this is more stuff that I see in write-ups where they say like, oh, clearly East would have had like, I don't know, he would have bid more than two spades if he had a singleton or
Yeah.
things
I
like
mean, but you're usually playing him versus singleton or the queen on one.
yeah,
So usually they're the same in terms of would they have bid more. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
unless it's a high level bidding, like,
competed, yeah, yeah,
yes, unless it's competing, right?
yeah,
Then
exactly.
then 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 right.
And yeah, this was actually, it just came up recently on the forums. What do you think of this, all these evaluation methods? Or do you like I remember one ViewGraph commentator said, "Oh, he has a 12 count, but I wonder if these players even count points anymore." Like do you like I'm pretty sure you still count points, but like,
I am a huge fan of the Milton work point count.
and
I
then
I
you
love, for balanced hands, I love 4-3-2-1,
okay,
and an upgrade for, like, if you have ace jack 10-9, like if you've got good spot cards that are working, or if you have a 5 card suit or whatever. But basically, I love, for balanced hands, point count is awesome, and all of these other methods are worse.
yeah,
Like, point count is still the normal point count. Milton work point count is still the best for balanced
mhm,
hands. Um, just fine tune it based on spot cards and 5 card suits, etc. For unbalanced hands, point count. I mean, the higher degree of fit you have, the less point count matters. Like, at some point, we all know now, if you have 5 trumps and a stiff, you're bidding game.
or space,
Like,
yeah,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your point count is. Um, and there are some hands that are like two club openers where I don't count them, where it's just like, well, I have two losers in my hand. Even I can just look and I have two. Like, I don't really count my points.
yeah,
Uh, but I mean, but yeah, I mean, I pretty much always count my points, and I have a baseline. Like, even, I'm sure losing trick count is fine for, like, do I make a limit raise or not? But I mean, if I have an 8 count and a stiff, I'll probably make a limit raise. But if
yeah,
I have queen, 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 stiff, queen, I probably won't. So I'm doing something consciously, but
yeah,
I mean subconsciously, but I don't know what I'm doing. But it all ends up the same. But I do kind of know how many points I have, and whether I have a stiff.
yeah.
So I guess I do, also Charlie Gord style,
But
add for a stiff.
yeah. But I guess it's just something that I mean, these situations come up all the time. Or like, let's say you have a 13 count and a singleton, and you 5-4, and then you open one minor, and then you re-raise to 2 or 3, and things like that. That
But you just kind of know what you do. Like,
like you have your
in standard, I would usually bid two. But if I had ace queen 10 fifth and ace king fourth, I would bid three.
yeah, 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 yeah. I
So
mean, so
I think that's, like you say, pattern recognition, and, clustering certain spots
yeah,
together. Just knowing you just have to know what you do. It goes a diamond, a spade. Do you make a negative double, or bid one no with no
mm,
stopper, or raise on three, or, like, you just kind of know what you do. At some
yeah,
point, you've seen this hand, you know what you do. You can't really construct hands or
yeah,
reinvent the
yeah.
wheel. You just kind of have already made up your mind. This is what I do in this spot.
Yeah,
And
this is something that I can like basically just tilts me. Although like I shouldn't, like it goes like my opponent opens one diamond, I bid one spade, and the like left hand opponent thinks for like 30 seconds, and it's like, and
I know your
it's
head.
and I don't and I don't mean that they're gonna penalize me or anything, because that's usually not what they have. They have like an 8 count
They
with,
have 2, 3, 3, 5, 9 count or
yeah,
something like
exactly, yeah, and
with
then
no
it's,
spade stopper or something like that.
yeah, and then it's like really, this is the first time this hand came up. Like you just decide, okay, from now on I'm gonna double, or I'm gonna bid two clubs, or whatever, or it doesn't matter. But it's just all these people who, I don't know, or like one no trump pass and they start to tank, and like, okay, I
Oh,
can imagine if they have 6-6 in the minors and they have to figure out what, but usually it's not that. It's just like an 8 count with four hearts, and like you
my
either
favorite
same
is
on
a
every hand.
diamond pass, a spade pass, slow two spades. It's
Yeah.
like alert. Shows three. Sometimes it's the hand you were talking about, but it's usually the three card raise. Sometimes it's the 2.5 bid, but in my experience, it's the three card raise most of the time.
Mhm. This is something, again, geographical. Like in France, they apparently it's illegal to
Yeah,
the
it's
police
forbidden.
will come and
They'll take you away.
yeah, yeah, and send you over the ocean, or I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know. Uh, I guess you also kind of try to, like, even when it's not your turn to bid, you're gonna try to imagine stuff that will come up,
Yes, absolutely.
and then also, like, I don't know. Sometimes I have this feeling. I don't think I'm clairvoyant, but like when I have a balanced 8 count, I'm thinking, oh, he's probably gonna open one on trump, or
Well, it's selective memory. Like you
yeah,
think about
probably,
the bid that gives you the most problem. Like if your partner opens one of a minor,
yeah,
you're gonna bid one
exactly,
of your major. But if he opens one no, am I gonna invite or not? You know.
yeah, things like that. So I don't know, but some people don't agree. Obviously, they prefer to think for 20 seconds every time it comes
Well,
up.
and that's more of an inexperienced player thing. Like if good players did that against me, I would be upset because they're giving unauthorized information in some
Yeah,
spots.
that's
But good players, experienced players will not do that. But yeah, if you could play at the local club, you see it all the time. And whatever, you just
yeah. No,
suck it.
it's more. It's also just saves time for everybody. Like next time,
Yeah,
maybe we will have a problem, and
right.
I don't know. But yes. So what's your plan now in the future? You're gonna play 3 more weeks.
3 more weeks, then I have a week off, then I have 3 more weeks. I didn't schedule my schedule very well because this is not normal. I played very little in the beginning of the year. And apparently now I'm playing because when I just kind of looked at how many weeks I was playing and it was a normal amount, and I realized in like the first 3 months of this year I played like 2 or 3 weeks, and I was like, ooh, something bad is about to happen to me, and here it is. I'm not the most organized person, as you found out yesterday.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, but
I just kind of accept regionals. Yeah, I'll play. I'll play.
yeah. So, but is it like so other bridge pros have like this big schedule that they make, and like they say like, no, like the third week of February I'm gonna have a break, and like obviously they
Yes.
know when the big tournaments will be, but
Yeah, people like Mike Purcell and Max. I think they have a yearly schedule, and and they plan it around certain. If they have their daughter's graduation or this or that,
mm,
and they have it all set up.
yeah.
I was more just accepting work, not looking at the bigger scheme. From now on, I will though. I will also have a yearly plan.
Oh, okay, like you can be like these tennis players who publish their yearly schedule like January 1st, and
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
but yeah. So but do you think like is your bridge still on the same level now, or is it already? Or I'm just curious, like if you have these several weeks in a row.
Well, I had a medium week, but I didn't play very well the week after the trials, and I had a poor week the next week, and I actually played better than I did the week before. And last week we won every match, so
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
back. I'm feeling back. I'm
Yeah.
I'm recharged. Well, because it was kind of like I was kind of sad about the trials and I wasn't playing my best, and then I had 2 bad weeks, and I'm like, well, screw this. I need to get back and be winning everything. So it was fun to do well there.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think my bridge will be okay. I think well, the last week is Vegas, so I think that'll be interesting. we, the running joke used to be that we all were hoping to break even when we went and worked in Vegas, like break even for the week, only lose as much gambling as we were making for the
Oh,
week. But sometimes you win.
you play like blackjack or I don't know what.
Blackjack, craps, roulette, video poker. Yes, yes. I also have a vice of gambling. I think I have lots of vices that your viewers would not be happy with.
And like maybe you don't want to discuss this on camera, but you do you or would you be good at card counting if you wanted to be, or
Yeah.
like
I mean, the counting
hypothetically?
part is easy. The not getting caught part is hard
Hmm. Hmm.
because they're pretty, and especially now most places have automated shufflers unless you're in the high limit room,
Hmm.
because but then they're watching you. Like if you just walk into the high limit room and you're counting, and there's no automated shuffler, they're pretty much on you from the beginning.
So do you could you also I heard of this like Stu Unger could, if you showed him like the 51 cards of the deck, he could immediately tell you what the 52nd card is.
Yes, I could not do that.
He couldn't do that. Okay.
There is no chance I could do that.
But okay, so yeah, you still have some more gambling to do. So or bridge, I guess. I don't. it's, it's just yeah. Actually, you can do it with just using maths. That's what I later
Yeah,
saw. That, just
exactly.
add the cards and I don't know some yeah. Oh yeah, actually about maths, you were talking about it. We should slowly wrap up actually, but I was curious. Like you're saying that actually you don't really need a lot of maths in bridge, and I wonder like what's kind of the most complicated math that you do at the table, or what, or you ever done? Like, did you ever do like 36% times that plus this and
Um, no, I mean, there's really no complicated math. I mean, you can do like, I mean, it's very obscure where you even have a line where it's like, okay, there's 75% of 50%, of
yeah,
36% or
yeah, yeah,
whatever
yeah.
versus some, like you usually don't have lines like that. Um, I mean, the usually the most complicated is just the combinatorics of like, but you do, ace king 10 9 fifth opposite two or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. Yeah, you just
like
know like
queen
all this
jack
stuff.
fifth versus because if you know it's 4-2, it's different than if you can pick up queen jack fifth,
Mhm.
if that makes sense, because you add in more 5 1s.
Yeah,
But uh,
but then
yeah, sorry, I gave that wrong. I meant king and one opposite ace 10 9 fifth.
okay.
That's what I'm doing. You play
And
king, and then do you play low to the 10 or low to the ace? And low to the 10 is right if you need three tricks and it's queen and it couldn't be 5-1, I believe. But if you know that it's 4-2, then it's king and low to the ace. But
this is just stuff that you just know, right? I mean, you wouldn't be sitting
sometimes you
there.
have to, that one I know, but sometimes you have to figure it out at the table. Like, and some of them are variations on, but sometimes the an eight drops or whatever.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it
yeah.
makes it a weird, but it's the same type of thinking, but you just figure out what combinations you win on versus what combinations you lose on. Uh, but even there's just never a straight math problem because it's just there's always some other clues. Um, I guess when it's like squeeze versus something, that's usually the most complicated because you have to figure out when does the squeeze line work and what are the odds of those holdings
Hmm.
to find out if that's a better line than taking some other line.
Yeah,
And I guess you could do that at the table, and I don't. I just kind of make a rough
yeah.
estimation rather than do the actual math. But I guess that would be the most complicated math
But this is
because
that you have to. This is when like they have like 2 points in total, and they had no opportunity to intervene and so on. Like
yeah,
because otherwise you have to think like, what are the odds that he would overcall with Ace Jack fifth
exactly.
and the Jack outside, and then it's like I've seen a few threads like that, and I think it's fascinating. Obviously, you're not going to do it at the table, but
Right.
it's like they were like, yeah, let's assume that this is 100% overcall, that's a 50%, and
Yes.
this is really cool math problems actually. But
Yeah, and you just kind of make a rough estimation and go from there, I think. But yeah, I mean, dude, I dropped out of high school. Like, I never did calculus. Like, math is not required to be a great bridge player. It's very logic is, but math is not.
mhm, mhm. But I mean, you would go. I guess you would know like most of these percentages just from your head, just like
Yes,
yeah.
and most soup combinations from my head. But
But also like I couldn't tell you like let's say like a specific 4-2 how much more unlikely is it than a specific 3-3. That's like something like
right,
1.2. I don't remember actually.
I couldn't tell you the exact amount, but that never matters. Usually, you just count the cases, and if you know a 3-3 is more likely than a 4-2, like
Oh
some
yeah yeah
line wins on the same amount of combinations but has more 3-3 combinations that
yeah
it wins on, then you know
exactly.
that's the right
Yeah
line. Like, no, I don't know you never need to know the
yeah.
exact percentage there.
But I mean
Never.
you would I mean 2 4-2s is more than 1-3-3 and things like that.
Yeah,
So
of course, of
that's
course.
like yeah.
Yeah,
I know that's
but to
like
me that's logic, kind of, than
yeah
more than, like, I'm not doing the exact 1%. I'm just this combination,
yeah.
these combinations versus these combinations.
But at some point you also said that it was a long time ago again. These threads keep popping into my head, you know. Uh, like you said something like actually suit combinations are not that important, as long as you don't do something very stupid.
Well, and as long as you know how to figure out roughly at the table what to do.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to memorize two combinations, but you need to know roughly how to think about it. But again, it's all situate, like, queen to nine fifth opposite ace fourth. There are so many possible ways to play that based on the bidding and who you think is
Yeah.
long. And
Yeah.
I mean, even here was one. I had ace jack 10 9 fifth opposite four little, and I mean, I just figured out that lefty could have a stiff, but it couldn't be stiff small because the high cards weren't there. So the correct play is the ace, even though normally you double, because now you win against king queen on your left and you never lose.
Mm,
Like,
mm, mm,
so, that's not a suit combination. Like, you would not learn, like, obviously we all learn low to the jack and low to the 10,
yeah.
but in this case, because of the points, it was almost for sure lefty could not have a stiff small, in which case you would play the ace. Like, just something like that is knowing how to think about bridge is more important. But having some base knowledge of suit combinations, especially the ones where you're missing king jack and queen jack, those are very
Exactly.
important.
And there's like this different kind of math calculation when you're trying to do like imp odds. Do you ever do that or like to try to go for this extra two over tricks or to ensure your contract or
Yeah, I'm actually known for probably risking my contract for overtricks more than anyone, especially in part scores. Because think about especially when it's three overtricks in one. No, it's insane to just play safe
yeah.
when it's almost. I mean, you're risking five, to gain three. Like, people definitely do not go for overtricks enough.
But
But a
that's
lot of it is backing your judgment. Like, I know this is what is happening. Like, I am confident this is what is happening. I'm just going to go to take my over trick.
mm, but this is again I don't think you would like sit there multiplying imps in your head like 50% of +3 and
No, but
or
if you think that you're risking 10 to gain two,
yeah that's
and
easy yes I mean that's
you know, but basically you have to be, since it's all subjective, you have to be pretty sure. Like, you can't say, well, I'm 95% sure this is what is happening. Like, you have to think in your mind, this is almost always what is happening. Like, I'm sure that this is what is happening. There's no chance that this is not what's happening,
mhm,
because, and that's roughly the same because as 95%. Because if you come up with 95%, you're basically making it up because it's all based on your own assumptions anyway, right? Like,
yeah
as you were saying, he's 82% to overcall this hand, and then this guy is, 95% to not false card here. So,
yeah
that
yeah
you're just making it up. I mean,
yeah
so at some point you're just like, I know this is what the whole thing is, and it's almost no chance. And then I would risk my game for two overtricks. But if I had any doubt, I wouldn't. And that's
oh
that's
okay
roughly what the math would indicate.
yeah
But
exactly yeah but and if not, then it's close enough. So it's yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's but and is it also a question of job security for pros or
Yeah, you better not go down risking your contract for overtricks. I guess I'm just more confident in my reads than like.
mm, mm,
I
mm.
mean, I do it a lot, but you
Yeah,
know,
but
but
and
I'm not wrong. The fact that I'm almost never like I actually there was one hand where I was wrong recently. That was actually an interesting hand. That was for like two over tricks, and I went down only with 5-1 trumps and stiff king. This actually should have been a math problem, but I was
oh,
like, whatever. Like, it was 5-1 trumps with stiff king specifically over here, and something else. And I no, I usually gain one over trick, but a significant amount I gain two over tricks. So and I knew that I had a safety play, but I was like, whatever, man. So that this actually was a pure math problem
mm,
rather than and it just seemed like okay, this is the play. So I go down one. This layout occurred,
mm.
and I'm like, like sorry, partner. But the opponents didn't even know that they were like, oh, you couldn't make it. But I had to just pull no trumps and just rough my winners.
Oh,
You know,
okay,
it
yeah,
was one of it was one of those things, as opposed to I can just pull trumps and run my winners and make six.
and
But yeah, I don't remember ever other than that going down playing for an overtrick.
and
So
do
I
you
mean, it should be if I don't want to be on a team with people who consistently go down playing for overtrick. Like if it happens a lot, then your judgment is off.
yeah, 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 and it's another one of these things that maybe some people might do it just to prove that they're experts or whatever,
Right.
but then at some point you have to look at the evidence, like okay, I'm this is not going well, like maybe I'm not an expert or
Yeah. If you're wrong very often on this, you should never attempt to do it. Don't
and
try this at home.
and also like if you're in a like a safe contract that will never go down, do you and you're playing teams, do you try to sit there for like extra, let's say an extra 5 minutes to try to squeeze out an extra over trick, or like
Well,
there
I
was
don't think
this
for I've never thought for 5 minutes in my life, but yeah, I'll sit there for 30 seconds. I'll definitely try and come up with the right line for the overtrick,
but
or the safest way to approach it, or the highest expected value way of approaching it. I mean that matters. That's we call
yeah,
that
yeah,
grinding.
no, I can imagine, yeah.
You got to grind out those imps.
But like there was this famous hand, I don't remember anymore. Like I maybe I shouldn't say their names even if I remember it. When they were really top level players, like they were in 6-0 Trump and they were thinking for something like 15 minutes about the overtrick, and their and
I think
defenders
what
were
happened was they let the opponent. They had almost no chance of an overtrick,
oh
and
yeah
they let their opponent, who was trying to beat the hand, so he was trying to come up with a line to beat the hand,
yeah
and they let him think for 15 minutes.
oh like that oh exactly yeah.
That I do not approve of.
Mhm.
I mean, I understand it, but I would never, I would
It's
never do
it's
that.
also a question of like just oh in that case it was really like I wanted to say that it's a question of conserving energy, but actually it was the energy
Well,
of your
that
opponent. Yeah.
one might argue that that was the whole point of letting the opponent think for 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. So then we don't have to.
I don't know if that's true, but one might argue that.
Yeah, yeah. It's okay. No, we don't have to. Yeah. But yeah. And oh, the
One might
one.
argue that that's not something that you want to be doing. But to the guy's credit, I think he made the overtrick. So I
Okay.
mean, there is I guess there was not zero chance of an overtrick because I think he made an overtrick.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So I mean, the proof is in the pudding. There, you cannot argue if he actually made an overtrick that there was no chance of getting an overtrick.
Yeah.
As far as letting them think, yeah, I'll let them think. If there's a legitimate chance of an over, like this happened to me against the same opponent who thought on the other one, and he thought for like 5 minutes, and it was very likely he was going to underlead his ace to try and beat me, and I'd make an overtrick. I let him think because I had a real chance of making an overtrick,
Mhm.
and at regionals, especially against Mecwa, we always say you're not beating us, but just to save time. Like if the contract is making and someone starts thinking. But at nationals, you can't do that because you can see how easily exploitable that is. If every time you're cold, you tell the
Yeah.
opponents you're cold, like that's not a good. So I wouldn't do that in major events.
Yeah, but also sometimes like declarer shows his hand to the defenders. That's also something that they do sometimes, like to speed up the play, because they just have this one or two decisions to make, and
That's
or
common.
like they
Yes,
have this one.
that's common at high level bridge that you show your hand to the you say I'm not claiming. And of course all the lawyers on bridge based forums are going to say, well, technically that's a claim and blah blah blah, but it's pretty common, like if their play doesn't matter but yours,
Yeah,
you have to just do some stuff just in case you show them, and so they can make a play, and then you play it. Yes, that's quite common.
but do you do this thing that they do on BBO? Like you just ask where is the diamond king, and because it's just between plus one or plus. Oh, but oh, I no, that's like in real life you can just say like, okay, if the diamond king is on side, I make 11, otherwise I make 12.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah, yeah,
claim
yeah.
like
Like
that often. That's a common claim.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, because like on BBO they usually ask like who has the diamond king, and then they claim it, because it's
Right.
yeah. Now I
In
just
real life, you just put in your hand and say, how many am I making? Or whatever.
yeah, yeah. Like this would kind of show that I'm playing more on BBO than real. No, also I'm playing in club, so if I had to explain this, like I'm making 11 if I just do this, or like I just take the finesse and like,
Your claim is definitely dependent on the level of your opponent, or it should be.
yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
will often set up my one hand. That's my new thing.
Oh,
That I'll just make one hand high, and then I'll say, because otherwise, if dummy has an ace, like
yeah,
I'll cash an ace of my stiff, and then my hand is high. Otherwise, I say, what about my club king? And then I
yeah,
just
yeah. And how will you play this? How will you play this out?
yeah.
Like, do
But
you
if one
play?
hand is high,
Yes,
you're good.
yeah,
You're
exactly,
good to go.
exactly.
My hand is good.
Yes, yes. And okay, one last question I wanted to ask you. Do you think like this thinking of bridge problems or solving bridge problems at the bridge table helps you in real life or not? Like, do you think it's kind of this philosophical thing?
Absolutely, 100%. It makes you have better decision making processes in every decision you make, bridge or non-bridge.
Hmm. And it makes you take decisions also faster in real life, or
I think it makes you approximate. It makes you get to the core of the issue better,
mhm, mhm.
and put the right amount of time on the important issues. If
Or
that
like you
makes
said, you kind of eliminate the irrelevant cases, like
exactly just like in
like
bridge.
if spades are 4-0, I can't make no matter what, and like.
No, yeah, no, I'm being totally serious. I
No,
think
no, no.
that
I
that's
know. I
totally
just,
helps.
yeah. It sounds funny, but I know what you're saying. Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
It's yeah, yeah. You can, yeah. Because like it kind of looks like an abstract game, but you have all these decision making things that are heuristics and so on, and it's
exactly.
yeah. So well, thank you very much,
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was fun.
and good luck in the next 3 weeks, and then the next or it's gonna be even more after you said
Three
so.
weeks,
Well,
then a week off, then 3 weeks.
yes. So thanks a lot for agreeing to do this again. And
Yeah,
yeah,
no problem. It was fun.
yeah.
Thanks for interviewing
Okay.
me.
So good luck and bye.
Yeah, talk to you later. Bye.